Leafs and Jets fail to silence critics again. The story hasn't changed. 32 thoughts. Another year. Another heartbreak. And for fans of the Toronto Maple Leafs and Winnipeg Jets, the 2025 NHL playoffs have felt like a painful rerun of past disappointments. Despite flashes of brilliance in the regular season and moments of hope in early playoff rounds, both teams have once again been eliminated in fashion that is all too familiar. The narrative, as dissected in the latest episode of 32 Thoughts with Elliot Friedman and Jeff Merrick, remains unchanged, promising potential, emotional meltdowns, and a glaring inability to perform under pressure when it matters most. For the Maple Leafs, the collapse has become a case study in mental fragility. After finishing at the top of the Atlantic Division for the first time since 2000 and posting a dominant home record, Toronto looked poised to finally turn the corner. Under new head coach Craig Berube, known for his success with the St. Louis Blues, the Leafs seemed ready to rebrand themselves as playoff warriors. But that hope quickly evaporated when they blew a 2-0 series lead against the Florida Panthers, capped off by a humiliating 6-1 defeat in Game 7. On home ice, no less. This was Toronto's 7th consecutive Game 7 loss, a record in NHL history that now serves as a haunting reminder of the team's inability to handle pressure. Auston Matthews, recently appointed captain, looked shell-shocked by the end of the series. Mitch Marner, often criticized for underwhelming playoff performances, was visibly rattled, dodging jerseys thrown by angry fans in the dying minutes of Game 7. John Tavares, whose leadership was expected to anchor the team, appeared emotionally drained. Despite the firepower from Toronto's core four, the group managed just 14 goals in their final 7 playoff games. What's even more disheartening is that the Leafs seemed to crumble not because they lacked skill, but because they lacked poise. 32 Thoughts rightly pointed out that playoff hockey isn't just about scoring, it's about surviving the mental grind. The Panthers, led by a cohesive and determined squad featuring the likes of Matthew Tkachuk and Alexander Barkov, exposed Toronto's soft underbelly. Florida adapted, stayed composed, and played team-first hockey. In contrast, the Leafs unraveled under the spotlight again. The off-ice drama only added to the spectacle. Celebrity superfan Drake reportedly lost a $1 million bet on the Leafs Game 7, while Justin Bieber, another public backer of the team, was accused of jinxing them due to his high-profile presence at games. While clearly tongue-in-cheek, these viral moments underscored the intensity of scrutiny surrounding the team. When jerseys start flying onto the ice and fans exit the arena in disgust before the final buzzer, the message is loud and clear. Patience has run out. As for the Jets, the circumstances were different, but the end result was the same: disappointment and unmet expectations. Winnipeg had entered the postseason with optimism after a solid regular season and a well-rounded roster. But adversity struck hard when forward Mark Scheifele suffered an injury late in the first round, forcing him to miss Game 6 against the St. Louis Blues. The Jets lacked offensive punch without him, and despite valiant efforts from Kyle Connor and Josh Morrissey, they bowed out quietly. The handshake line that followed Winnipeg's exit was poignant. For a team that prides itself on grit and chemistry, the moment served as a reminder of the toll that playoff hockey takes, emotionally and physically. As 32 Thoughts highlighted, the Jets have a core that works hard, but in today's NHL, hard work isn't always enough. Depth, health, and timely scoring are everything. Unfortunately for Winnipeg, their inability to capitalize in key moments, especially without Scheifele, meant another early summer. While neither team suffered from a lack of talent, the common theme in both eliminations was psychological fragility. Toronto and Winnipeg both had the ingredients for success, but neither had the mindset. And that's the aspect of the game that's hardest to fix. It doesn't show up in stats or highlight reels. It shows up in Game 7, when everything's on the line and the spotlight is hottest. Looking ahead, both franchises face pivotal off-seasons. For the Leafs, the question marks loom large. Mitch Marner enters the final year of his contract, with a full no-movement clause kicking in on July 1st. Trade speculation is rampant. William Nylander's extension kicks in next season, carrying a hefty cap hit. Tavares, who's aging and expensive, has just 1 year left as well. General Manager Brad Treliving faces a daunting task. Can he reshape this core? Or is it time to blow it up? Head coach Craig Berube, despite the playoff failure, is expected to stay. His no-nonsense approach could serve the Leafs well in the long run, but only if the front office makes tough, structural changes. Leadership culture, accountability, and locker room dynamics all need a hard reset. Winnipeg, on the other hand, will need to address its over-reliance on key stars and its lack of playoff composure. Whether that means adding depth via free agency or trading for high-impact role players, GM Kevin Cheveldayoff must act decisively. The Jets aren't far from being contenders, but they've proven they can't withstand injury losses or close series pressure without unraveling. Meanwhile, as Toronto and Winnipeg lick their wounds, other teams like the Panthers and Hurricanes continue to rise. Florida's comeback against Toronto wasn't a fluke. It was the result of 4 balanced lines, lockdown defense, and elite goaltending from Sergei Bobrovsky. Carolina's physical, fast-paced system continues to dominate the East. The bar for postseason success has risen, and both the Leafs and Jets now find themselves behind it. The 32 Thoughts podcast pulled no punches in its analysis. Friedman and Merrick emphasized that fans aren't just frustrated with losing, they're frustrated with the repetition of it. Every year brings the same headlines, the same promises of change, and the same playoff flameouts. The story hasn't changed, they said, and they're right. And that's perhaps the most devastating part of all. It's not just the losses. It's the predictability of them. For fans in Toronto and Winnipeg, hope remains, but only barely. There is still belief in the talent of Matthews, Marner, Schifiel, Connor, and the rest. But belief without results eventually turns into cynicism. If either of these teams wants to truly silence their critics, they'll need more than good regular seasons and media soundbites. They'll need clutch performances, emotional resilience, and a complete rejection of the narratives that now define them.